Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you to Heart podcast today. And we're going to do part two of a series that I'm doing called Calling to the Heart of a Man. And in this series, we're going to be talking to 5 to 6 different men, different ages, different backgrounds, different seasons in their lives. They have different insights and we're so blessed that they have with the gifts and talents and abilities that they have, and they're so willing to share their heart to heart conversation with me. And I am so thankful to introduce for part two my son, Adam Duty. And Adam is going to be telling us a little bit about himself. And we're just going to have that conversation that we usually have over the phone, or when we are in person, we're sitting at the table. And that's the kind of conversation that I have with God, my Father. My heart is open to Him to release pain and victories, questions, whatever it is that we have. So, Adam, I want to thank you again for being with me today. And just for those who maybe this is their first time hearing the podcast, that you could just tell us just a little bit about yourself. Who is Adam Duty?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on again. Of course, I'm Adam Duty. Right now, I'm really heavily focused on building a personal brand. So my brand is called SOC University. It's called Secrets of CEOs University, and it's basically helping men and helping people with self improvement, mental health, entrepreneurship, and it's just basically for you to be the CEO of your own life. Um, and basically, I'm doing that because I wanted to share my journey with people and just help other people whenever they're trying to like level up on their life and dealing with those like mental roadblocks that they have. And specifically trying to give men the courage and the ability to have like a safe space to be able to talk about and communicate about the things that they're dealing with. So,
And you know what? This that's one of the things that's so means a lot to me about you. That's the kind of man that you are. You have a heart for others, and everything you do, you always have this hindsight that it's not just about you, it's
yeah.
about others coming behind you. So I know in the first podcast, you've talked about, the calling, the drawing that you had in your heart, and how what that journey meant to you, some of the triumphs and some of the difficulties and challenges that you had. So, Adam, a lot of times when people are starting out on a journey, or if they feel a calling, they kind of look to themselves and they see more so what they don't have
hmm
than what they do have. So, how and what did you have in your hand, so to speak, that you were able to use, that you thought and you felt confident enough to start with what you have, knowing that you were going to receive more? But what was it that you immediately had in your hand to accomplish this burning call within you?
So, being honest, at first, I thought I didn't have anything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I literally thought I needed all these different things, all these fancy pieces of equipment that I didn't know enough. And when I really started to get it and understand what I did have, was my own personal experience and my own
Okay.
unique experience, because everybody is different. Like, you can have two people working the same job or the same profession, or two specific athletes. They could have all the same stats. Like, we'll use basketball, for example. They average the same amount of points, rebounds, assists, whatever. But everything is different through their own particular lens of view, is because they're their own
Hmm.
unique person. So how one person might see something, somebody else might see it differently. And that doesn't
Yes.
mean that they're wrong. It's just a different perspective. So that was the thing that I had to realize. Like, that's the one thing that I have that's I have over anybody else is my own perspective and my own experience. So
Yes.
I started with that first. And that would be the thing I would tell anybody. Start with that
Yeah.
first.
And that was something too that I think we all experience, like you were talking about athletes. But I was thinking about many times when I read in the Bibles and God called different people to a certain assignment.
Mhm.
Nobody said, you know what, God, you picked the right person.
Yep.
I'm just the one that you need. I got it together. I'm glad that you recognize who I thought I was. Nobody had that attitude. They all realized that they're coming. They might have some areas that they need to work on
Mhm.
or that they don't know. As I said before, they haven't crossed every T and dotted every I.
Mhm.
But the thing about it, Adam, is that you said yes. I don't know how you felt when you said yes.
Mhm.
I don't know what was going through your mind when you said yes, but you made a step. And
Yeah.
I know this is not something that, I really had in my notes, but it's very important. How important is that first step?
Mm.
We could just sit. We can sit and talk about what we want to do. But what about that first step? How important is that to you? And how would you share that to other people, with other people?
So I think that, well, not think, I know that is probably going to be the most important thing that anyone deals with on their journey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always easier said than done.
Hmm.
Just starting anything new comes with a lot of fear and anxiety.
Okay.
It's the fear of people judging you. It's the fear of,
Hmm.
not getting things right. It's the fear of, I don't know how. Um, it's the fear of, what's my family going to say? What's my friends going to say? What are my
Yeah.
coworkers going to say? What's the world going to say? And it's
Mm.
funny, a lot of people think that when they first start off doing something, that everybody's going to see it. I don't want
Oh,
to
wow.
I don't want to speak in front of this crowd, or I don't want to post this video, or I don't want to type some words or say some words online because everybody's going to see it. And in reality, basically nobody's going to really see it in the beginning because you're just starting
Mm-hmm.
off. And I
Mm-hmm.
think we put that pressure and fear on ourselves in the beginning. So
Yeah.
taking that first step is the most important thing, because if you can't learn if you don't even start.
That's true.
And then the
That's
longer you
true.
put it off, the harder it's going to be to just step out and just actually do it. So I just say, just do it. Just start and just do it. Um, there's a saying, they say it, do it ugly and unorganized. That's how it's gonna
Mm.
be in the beginning. You're not gonna know what you're doing.
Hmm.
But if you don't try, then you're never gonna know how to improve on it. It's the easiest way I can put it for those that have children. It's like having a child. You can have all the diapers, you can have all the
Yes.
equipment, you can have wipes, you can have everything. The first time I had my daughter with me overnight, she peed in the bed like 4 or 5 times, and I'm like, "Ma, I don't know what to do." And you're like, "Nope, you gotta figure it out." And I thought I had everything that I needed, the plastic on the bed,
Yeah.
everything. None of that worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
But after that, I was like, it's not so hard after all. So taking that first
Mm-hmm.
step is probably be the most important thing. You just have to do it.
Yeah. So when you decided to take that first step, which means a lot to me because that helped me also on my
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
And how did you overcome the questions? Because sometimes we ask questions because we don't know.
Correct.
But sometimes when somebody asks me a question, I think they're asking me a question, but what they're really doubting who I am and what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And I still struggle with people asking me questions about, especially Adam, when I can't even explain myself.
Mhm.
what I'm doing. How have you been able to handle those questions from family members or people that, say they support you, or even people said they're your friends, but maybe they're not doing what you would want them to do or
Yeah.
respond?
Yeah, for
How do
sure.
you handle questions? How do you build yourself up so that you can stand even when there's those questions or, you know,
Yeah.
criticism?
No, that's huge. That's another like barrier that anybody is going to deal with whenever they're trying to step on faith or try something new. Right away, we think that whatever we do, that we think everybody that knows us should support us. We
Mm,
think automatically, we think, hey, if I do this, my mom, my dad, all my sisters, all my family, all my friends from high school, all my coworkers, everybody should be
that's
like,
true. That's
yes, this is
true.
perfect. Do it. We support you. We got it. But in reality, to say this as nicely as possible, but as truthful as possible, like someone, they don't, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Mhm.
So, and a lot of times, and what I mean by that is you really have to prove it to yourself first.
Okay.
So once you prove it to yourself that this is something that you want to do or whatever it is, then you consistently have to put yourself out there. And then when
Mhm.
people start to see you consistently serious about whatever you're trying to do, then people have the opportunity to support you or not support you. But also a big thing that I had to learn, and we've had conversations about this before, that a lot of times when you do stuff, you think it's for everybody, but it's not
Wow.
really for everybody. Like,
Mm.
even with my platform, there's a specific group of people that I'm trying to speak to. And those are the people
Mhm.
that are like me, that think like me, that want the same things that
Mhm.
I do.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
I can't be somewhere talking about the color red, how that's my favorite color, to a whole bunch of people that like purple. It won't work. Right. As much as I
Mhm.
try to get them to change their mind, that's not my job.
Yeah. Yeah.
My job or my calling or my talent or whatever it is like we talked about before, is that uniqueness. It's funny, I didn't even know you had on purple. I just noticed that when I looked at
That's
the
okay.
screen. But
Well,
you
that is
understand what
my
I'm saying.
favorite color.
Yeah, yeah. But
It's
you understand
okay.
what I'm saying. Like, it's
Yes. Yes, I do.
when you
Yes, I do.
realize who you're speaking to and you
Mhm.
speak to them specifically, it makes
Mhm.
it easier for you when people that you think in the beginning should support you and they don't,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because
Right.
you're talking to a specific group. And then the third thing I would say is, just because people don't support you monetary wise, money, spiritually, vocally, visual wise, just because you don't specifically see it doesn't mean that they don't support you, right? Like, I'll give you an example. My sister that's there with you right now, I don't see my sister usually like commenting and stuff, liking stuff, looking at my videos or anything like that. But I know she has my best interest at heart. If I need
Mhm.
advice, I can call her. She'll give me advice on whatever I'm trying to talk about, whatever I'm trying to do. And for me, that's even more important than you just showing up, liking something and commenting on something, right? Because you could just be
Mhm.
doing that just to do it.
I see.
So
I
like everybody
understand.
has their own place, right? So
Mhm.
number one, so the first thing is, first you're gonna think everybody should support you, but in reality, that's not what you really want. Second thing is, when
Mhm.
you speak to a specific group, it makes it easier for you because you realize your message is not for everyone.
I
And then the third
understand.
thing is, people support you different ways. So just because you don't physically see them supporting you doesn't mean they're not supporting you.
Wow. And you know what? That is priceless because I must admit I'm going through that journey. I'm trying to not take how people respond or what they do or don't do personally. I'm trying very hard and I'm struggling. with that because I am, and it's not an arrogant thing, but
Let me stop you real quick. Hold on.
okay.
It is especially and extremely hard too when you are someone who wants the best for everyone and you care for everyone and you're trying to help everyone outside of what you're trying to do. It is extremely hard then to when you're doing something to jump out there and not get what you feel like you give to everybody else too as well. So I already know what you're going to say. That is very hard, and that's something that I got from you where I'm trying to help everybody. People who say like, you try to help too many people, you're the nicest meanest person that I know. You're trying to help everybody. So I
Yeah.
understand that too, but not to cut you off, I just want you to know you're not alone. If that's what you were going to say, you're
Yes.
not alone.
Yes. And that's why I didn't want to sound arrogant again, like I'm puffing myself up. But that's very important to me. And as you were talking about, which leads to my another question, um, what you're doing, how do you want that to impact future generations? Because see, that's what's in my heart. There
Mm-hmm.
were things that I had
Mm-hmm.
locked away, hoping somebody else will find it
Mm-hmm.
and run with the vision or
Mm-hmm.
share it, not knowing that I had a voice
Mm-hmm.
for now and that it my voice will not end on these podcasts, but it will continue because you have shared with me there are things, videos, songs that are 20, 30 years old that we're still talking about
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
you know. So that what I want to do, because that's the way I feel, because I had locked up things that were inside of me
Mm-hmm.
in a box. And I've said this before, put them in a closet.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody will find it. But I just felt that calling to pull it out,
Yeah.
to open that box, though it was letters or words on paper, but it was also things in my heart that I had locked up, and to open that up and give other people the freedom to unlock the treasure within them too.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just about me.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you feel and what do you want to do to impact future generations?
It's a great question. It, again, it goes back to my whole mission. And my whole mission is to, create a safe space for men where they can, express and talk about the things that they're dealing with. So I know it's a big task what I'm trying to do, especially with all the influences and everything that's out here, um, from TV to the news to radio, from social media. I just want to make it okay for some people that think like me, see
Mhm.
things like me, that feel the same things that I do, to understand like, hey, it's okay to express yourself. It's okay to talk about things that you might not normally, talk about. It's
Yes.
okay to have feelings of doubt, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, but not necessarily to only have those feelings, but be able to express those and talk about those things so you can overcome those things.
Mhm.
Because I think and I know that that's one of the things that the enemy or anybody's enemy in particular holds over people's heads is their feelings and their emotions. I mean, you can go back to, and I'm going super deep right now, but you can go back to slavery. There was things that were done to African Americans, men, that were done to them in front of their family, while their wife and their
Mhm.
children watched this happen to the men. And
Mhm.
they knew if they could break that man mentally, if they could break him and embarrass him in front of his family, then he would be weak. And that trait would pass down to his family and their generation,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
So I
Yes.
know how important that is. And And men overlook that all the time. It's like going to the doctor. They know it's important, but nah, I'm sick. I can handle it on my own. I don't need help. I don't need to go to the doctor.
Mhm.
But in reality, you do because you don't know everything. But also, it helps other people that are dealing with the same thing. So I'm just
Yes.
hoping that in the future, people will be able to see these interviews, see me talking to other people that are dealing with things, whatever it is, big or small, and that they'll be able to see, like, hey, there's somebody that went through the same things that I did,
Yes.
somebody that's not afraid to talk about those things, and it's somebody that's trying to help me deal with the same things that they were dealing with.
That's well, I appreciate that. That's as you said pretty much it that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah,
And I just appreciate that you didn't hold back, that you shared
yeah.
so freely and that you allowed us to have this heart to heart conversation. So I just wanted to say before I pray, I want to encourage everyone to go to YouTube to at heart to heart 00,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll be able to listen to this broadcast again, but other podcasts that we've done in the future. And there are others that are coming up. I mean, this we thank God. I thank God for Adam and being my first guest on this series called, and
Yeah.
I'm reading the title, Calling to the Heart of a Man. This is podcast number 2. I appreciate that so much. And so, Adam, I want to pray again before we
I want to
close
ask
out.
you. I want to ask you a question.
Sure, go ahead.
I actually have two questions.
No, I'm fine.
Yeah. So, what again? Why was this to you important, or this topic to you, to have this
O-
conversation with men? Like, I know you
Okay,
mentioned it before, but
that's okay. That's okay. Because, sometimes as I'm sitting at my table and I'm talking, to God,
mhm,
that phrase came to my mind, Adam, where are you? And it's significant. You're my first interview, and your name is Adam. And so I began to think about Adam, where are you? I began to think about how much our God, who created the heavens and the earth and the sky and the sun and the grass, and yet he was on a journey. He came looking for a man that was hiding from him.
mm,
But his love drew him to look for someone who was, he knew their location, but their heart, something happened in Adam's heart that caused him to move away. And I felt like God is still calling for Adam, whether it's a male or a female. He's calling for people now. He wants to draw them to himself.
mm,
And that's why I thought, how many people, and um your dad, my husband and I were talking, and he was saying, honey, there are people that are hiding in a bottle.
mm,
They're hiding in drugs. They're hiding in sex. They're hiding in the love of money. Money's not evil. The love of it that will cause them to
correct.
do anything to get it.
Yeah.
They're hiding in depression. They're hiding in abandonment.
Mhm,
They're hiding in so many places. And God is calling to them. He's coming to them where they are.
yeah.
And that shows me how much He loves them. And I began to think about just right now with men. I'm not saying never with women, but right now with men. And I wanted, there's so many men that have great abilities and talents,
Hmm.
and I don't want them to hide. I want them to come out. I want them to have a conversation, as you said, where they feel safe and they can encourage others.
Nice.
That's how this started.
Wonderful. Okay. And then the second one is just, we talked about, showing up and taking that first step.
Mhm.
This is also your first audio and video.
Yes.
So being your
Yes.
first audio and video podcast, what are your emotions
Well,
going through it at this time? And like what would be your advice to people for the first time that they want to jump on camera and actually do it, but they're afraid to do it?
well, the very first thing I would say to them, your passion, your calling, when you realize the wealth that you have, that allow that importance to take priority over what you're lacking, what you feel that you're lacking. Let passion cause you to produce and persevere.
Wow.
Without it, you'll be like a yo-yo, up and down, like a
Yep.
swing, back and forth, back and forth. And
Yeah.
you know what? I don't know about other people, but when I keep jumping up and down or I'm swinging back and forth, after a while I get dizzy and I don't know
Yes.
what I'm doing, you
Yes.
know. So taking that one step, it takes courage, but once again, I've connected with myself with people that help me in areas that I'm lacking. I realize I can't do this alone.
Mm.
And when you find somebody who can help you, who will be with you, hold your hand until, like your son, you held his hand until he was able to walk on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And once he was able to walk on his own, boy, he can cover some territory. He can go all over the place. So
Yes.
I think find someone, when you find someone who can help you and who is patient enough to walk you through, hold your hand until you can stand on your own. I think that's very important. And it doesn't matter how old you are.
Wonderful.
I'm in my 70s and I'm just now learning how to walk through this maze called media. And I'm thankful.
It's real.
I'm
Yeah.
thankful for it. I really am. I hope that's not
No, that's perfect.
confusing or too long. So
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
you're welcome. So um, thank you again, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate, I'm not saying this will be the last time, but I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us.
No, thank you for
So
having me.
I'm so grateful, Lord God, for who you are and this man that you have placed in my life. I thank you for his help. I thank you for his heart. I thank you for this conversation that we can have. I thank you for the insight and the understanding and the wisdom that you've given him. And he so freely shares with all of us. So I just bless him. I love you and thank you again in Jesus' name. Amen.